Please rise for pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderman Ravencraft.
She's here.
Alderman Covert.
Here.
Alderman Turner. Here. Alderman Bill.
Here.
Alderman Lewis.
Here.
Can I get a motion approving March 3rd, 2026 meeting minutes, please?
Hello.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to special items, we have two proclamations tonight, one for the high school and one for the middle school cheerleaders. At this time, a proclamation honoring the Southern Boone varsity cheer team and coaches on the title of Junior High State Cheerleading Championship in the Missouri Cheer Coaches Association. Whereas the Ashland Board of Aldermen, on behalf of its citizens, would like to congratulate the Southern Boone Junior High Cheer Team and coaches for attaining the title of Junior High State Cheerleading Championship in the Missouri Cheer Coaches Association Game Day Classic on February 14th, 2026. Whereas the Southern Boone Junior High School High Competition Cheer Team won first place overall, giving them the state title of MCCA Junior High State Championship. And whereas in order to honor all those who deserve recognition for this outstanding achievement, for all their hard work, and the following of those Southern Boone cheer team and coaches who helped this achievement along. At this time, I would like to have Kelsey Singleton come forward. Since you are the coach, we'll let you name all the children.
Okay.
Because there's some names I think I would butcher.
Yeah, okay, so we've got team members Adley Shelton, Atiana Ryak-Myadalov, Ava Wren, Grace Sapp, Hadley Lacey, Logan Garrett, London Casey, Maddie Martin, Maggie Young, Natasha Ryak-Myadalov, Tinley Westbury, Aaliyah Williams-Poe, Alyssa Murphy, Devin Kitch, Elise Fadler, Gabby Patillo, Lainey Morris, Landry Shear, Lucia Garris, Mackenzie Malone, and Sawyer Bowler.
Now therefore, I, Dory Slayer, Mayor of the City of Ashland, on behalf of the Ashland Board of Aldermen, urges citizens when they see a member of the team to congratulate them and tell them how proud they are of their achievements. Passed on this day, April 7th, 2026. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless you have this.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
We'll get some pictures here in a little bit.
Okay.
Well, he's gonna do the other ones and then they can clap for all of them and do a picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
A proclamation honoring the Southern Boone Varsity High School cheer team coaches, their second consecutive state title victory as Class 3A Division Championships in the Missouri Cheer Association. Whereas the Ashland Board of Aldermen, on behalf of its citizens, would like to congratulate the Southern Boone Varsity Cheer Team and coaches for attaining their second consecutive title of Class 3A State Cheerleading Championships in the Missouri Cheer Coaches Association on February 15th, 2026. Whereas the Southern Boone Varsity Competition Cheer Team won first place in every division, fight song, timeout, cheer, and band chant, resulting in winning the MCCA Class 3 Game Day State Championship. And whereas in order to honor for those who deserve recognition for this outstanding achievement for all their hard work, the following are those of the Southern Boone cheer team and coaches helped to make this achievement successful. And can I have Lindsay Morris come to the front?
Thank you. And I don't have my glasses here. All right, we have Harper Binkley, Ramona Riggs, Jenny Elliott, Isabella Lee, and Elias Rodriguez. Those are our seniors. We had no juniors. Our sophomores were Ava Beatty, Abby Melvin. Oh gosh, those were our juniors. We had no seniors. Abby Melvin, Hadley Carmichael, Olivia Holloway, Tegan Sibbett, Laren Hargis, Lily Burns, and then our freshmen, Abby Tanksley, Bella Farrar, Bryn Rubley, Ellie Binkley, Greenlee Paver, Jada Powers, Joelle Fitzpatrick, Liliana McClanahan, and Sammy Hoff. Thank you.
Now therefore, I, Maurice Slinker, Mayor of the City of Ashland, on behalf of the Ashland Board of Aldermen, urge citizens, when they see a member of the team, to congratulate them and tell them a job proudly done. Where can we get a picture of that?
Wherever you can fit all of that.
You want to
Do you want to do the junior high and then the high school?
We can do that.
That might be better.
Frame up here.
All right.
You.
Varsity,
Try and cram in that corner like we usually do.
Can you get some Aldermen?
I was gonna say, I didn't know this was what they got. Craig's the only one who.
I'm getting out of the way.
There you go. Right. Come on, Mr. Bill.
all right, Mona. And Bella, will you guys hold on?
Yeah.
It's fine. I was like, I wanted that.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
My gray hair gets lazy. You want that one?
All right, let's do the next one.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Which one stays? I just want to speak to you. Your mother.
Smaller.
It's not like this purchase.
Devin, okay.
Yeah.
But congratulations to you all.
Moving on.
A few minutes to.
They didn't want to stay and hear about the budget.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to appointments and boards and commission. We have none. Scheduled public comments, none. Just a reminder that all public comments need to be into the city clerk by Wednesday before the meeting. Public hearing, proposal budget 2026, 2027. You're up, boss.
The public
Oh,
Now is the time for the public hearing. You can open it. You can ask for
we are
public comment.
open.
I don't know that we've received,
Any-
Darla, have you received any written communication?
No.
None. So, no comment. You
No
can
comment.
close it. You can move on to Shelley's
All right, we'll go ahead and close the
stuff when
public
we
hearing.
get to it.
Sign. Introduction and first reading. Council Bill number 2026-8, an ordinance to amend chapter 2 as it pertains to the compensation of the mayor. Staff report, please.
Most of you have not been on the board long enough to have a lot of history with this ordinance, but historically, the city introduced an ordinance to pay the mayor a stipend. It was paid for the term of that election cycle, and we've now passed that ordinance 4, 5, 6 times in a row as an election year comes about. We as staff think it's probably appropriate now to just set it by code and leave it. For those who've been around long enough, you know how much time the mayor puts into the duties. It's $550 a month stipend. We'd like to just set that as a perpetual stipend for the mayor and leave it be. And that is the ordinance you have before you.
Actually, I think it's more than that, but I won't ask.
Can we make Doris pay us $5.50 a month?
Actually, I'll tell you what I do with that money. You know all the community.
To piggyback on that, though, I know it's also historically come up about paying the board, so in order to do that, we have to pass an ordinance, and only half of you get paid until the following year. So at any time that you want to entertain a stipend for the Board of Aldermen, that's the process.
We can't wait to get publicly prosecuted for that.
I'm diametrically opposed to paying the board.
There you are.
When you can.
So you have an ordinance.
You don't want to get
Yeah,
paid.
if we get paid, I have to leave the board, so.
That's what I think, you don't want to get paid. And I don't care.
All right, so you have an
So,
ordinance
no-
before you to amend code to set it as a permanent $5.50 a month stipend for the office of the mayor.
Any questions for staff?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Well, first off, hang on. Can I get a motion to approve Council Bill number 2026-8, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 as it pertains to compensation of the mayor?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Raincraft?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Bill? I know it.
Aye.
Alderman Corbett?
Aye.
Council Bill number 2026-9, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 meeting budget. Please.
So, as some of you know, we do this every year. Staff is providing the included ordinance that is statutorily necessary in order to close the fiscal year. Political subdivisions preparing to close previous fiscal years must document, report, and pass an ordinance recommending and recognizing final budget amendments. Exhibit A, which is both in your binder and was in your packet, highlights the beginning budget, a representation of all budget amendments for fiscal year 26, symbolizing the closing of fiscal year 26. Accounts are balanced and all necessary ordinance presented to the board regarding fund balance expenditures occurring in fiscal year 26. Staff recommends approving the ordinance. And this is first reading only, as we do have the rest of the month that if anything unexpected comes in. We'll have our second reading on the 22nd.
So I take this home with me.
If you'd like to give it to Mike Freeze, you may do so.
I don't have to give it to him. I'm sure he's already got it.
Amen to that. We do.
But yes, that is your book, and I'd like you to keep it because there may be some reminders at mid-year when we've got stuff going on.
Any questions for staff?
I just want to say, I think we're really lucky to have Shelley on board. In the past, I can't remember how many years that things have been almost perfect when it comes to auditing. She's
Well, that's.
keeping us above water and
2 or 3 years?
We've had a perfect audit since I've been treasurer, except for 1 year. And that was just because we had an unexpected massive expense for an infrastructure thing that we didn't count on in April. So, and we won the GFOA award 2 years in a row, and we will win it again this year.
That's right. You know, when, I will have to say, when 2018, 2019, I had some residents say that the city of Ashland is robbing people blind. They need to be audited. And I'm like, since we've been here, it's been perfect.
Just give them a copy of the audit on the website.
Yep, so.
I must admit, she did not walk into a real rosy picture when it came to the paperwork. So she's done a great job.
Bring the cheerleaders back.
We'll just have to check everything. All right. No further questions?
Let me put it up on the browser.
If you don't mind. Just joking, sir. All right. Can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-9, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Ravencroft?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Moving on, Council Bill number 2026-10, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2026, and appropriating funds pursuant therefore.
So this is a reflection of all of our budget workshops that we've had. Department head requests, city administrator review, to propose our final budget, for fiscal year 27. As a reminder, this is a estimate and this is a flexible document. As we go through the fiscal year, we may have budget amendments depending on unexpected expenses and or emergent needs, but the goal for this fiscal year is to keep to our projects and goals. And I have listed those projects and goals under each department, so you can keep track of what it is that we as a team have said we're gonna accomplish for the city of Ashland this year.
You guys have any questions for us? No? Moving on, can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-10, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2026, and appropriating funds pursuant therefore?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ravencroft?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Council Bill number 2026-11, an ordinance approving the scope of service from Planning Design Studio for the Park Master Plan Phase 1.
We're jumping away from the binder. Probably should have reorganized those a little bit so the binder was all in a row, so apologize for that. But before you, you have scope of service to advance the engineering services for phase 1 of the park master plan improvements. As you recall, we did a master planning project that completed last year. The park board spent the better part of the year working with Planning Design Studio to conduct public outreach and master planning efforts for City Park and try and establish a comprehensive community vision of what they would like to do with City Park. Those plans were incorporated into the master planning document that we have on our website. As part of that, there was 7 or 8 different project components. The park board elected to focus on some of the primary components, which include addressing the old aging infrastructure, the old playground equipment, assessing stormwater needs with the drainage channel that runs through, and then kind of rebuilding that whole southeast corner of the park as phase 1. So before you have the engineering scope of services to conduct all those various phases. The park board went through a request for qualifications process. Have 5 or 6 different firms that had submitted qualifications and ultimately decided to stick with Planning Design Studio. I think the park board enjoyed working with them through the master planning process and felt confident in their ability to advance the engineering services for the project. So the scope of service includes, as you can see there, data collection, which is doing geotechnical out there in the park, assess the current conditions, do some stormwater planning and schematic design. They're scheduled to help with some fundraising efforts. That was one of the critical items that was included in the request for qualifications, is the ability to assist the park board with fundraising. There's a little bit of grant support in there to help with some of the grant applications that we envision. Creation of the construction documents and some permitting for all those various phases for a total fee of $259,830. That constitutes, with the add-ons, about 7% of the estimated cost of the improvements, which is slated to be $3.6 million. I know we've talked about this in the past. You know, the intention here is not only will we pledge some of the existing revenue streams, so the sales tax that's generated for the parks, but obviously there's a strong lean on fundraising. They intend to do a lot of fundraising for this, and then also some grants that we know that we'll be able to apply for. As you know, we've previously received grant funding through the LWCF grant program, so that's another grant that we intend to apply for in future fiscal years to help with some of the project components. One of the critical things to point out is, you know, once engineering is done, we'll have a comprehensive list of improvements to be done or to be excluded. And from that list, we'll also be able to work through there and determine which ones should be done in-house, which ones should be bid out, which ones are necessary or not. Just as an example, when they put together the initial cost assumptions as part of the master planning project, it included things like removal of existing playground equipment. That's something that we would intend from a staff perspective to just tear out that old equipment on our own and do some of those site prep type things. Same on the other end of the project where there's some more simplistic tasks like landscaping, planting trees or shrubs or other perennials and annuals. We can look to do that in-house or through volunteer efforts. So as the park board continues to move through this with the engineer, they'll kind of break this out into buckets of things that they expect will need to be bid, things they expect that they can arrange volunteer help for, or things that we'll just do with existing staff needs throughout the fiscal cycle. So that's what you have before you. The park board met with Planning Design Studio at their last meeting to kind of go over the scope and polish it a little bit. And this is the scope as approved and recommended by the park board.
So I know there's been a lot of stir in the community about the lake. What is the reasoning behind removing the lake?
So we're going to refer to that as the pond because we have the other lake on the other side of the highway that's 3 times the size. That's not to say that the pond will go away. Just for reference, that pond is about 4.5 to 6 feet deep. It serves no other purpose than to be a water feature there. It's not part of our stormwater infrastructure. So the park board, throughout the master planning process, multiple concepts were kind of put together, and what they heard from the community largely is that they wanted equipment all on one side of that drainage channel. So it made the most sense to move that south of the drainage channel, which ultimately means removal of that pond there. As it currently sits with the rough concept, the pond doesn't completely go away. There's still going to be a water feature below or behind the Veterans Memorial, just severely reduced in size. So, I mean, that's their rationale. Obviously, as we get through some of the engineering, they may determine that they don't want it to go, and they'll change plans. But as of right now, that's they had 4 or 5 concepts and did some community voting, and the concept that won out on there was inclusive of removing that pond.
Okay, question, where's the lake at? You said on the other side of the highway, where's that at? I tried to.
Right next to Rankin, there's a big lake over there that the city bought back in 2020.
How do you get to it? Because I tried to find it the other day.
What's the north-south street?
New Break Pond,
Yeah.
keep on going.
Perry
Just keep
Avenue,
on
take a
going.
left at Salter, take the first left, and there's,
It'll be to your
right
left,
there.
through the
Left,
trees.
left. Okay, I'm gonna try it again. Actually, Bryson and I and Reese tried to find it. We couldn't find it.
It's nice and pretty and quiet over there.
Yeah, well, okay, fine. I wanna find it.
And we bought that, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
2019, 2020, 21, something like that.
Well, I'd heard about it, but like I said, I tried to find it, couldn't find it.
So. Any other questions? Can I get a motion approving Council Bill 2026-11, ordinance approving the scope of services from Planning Design Studio for the Park Master Plan Phase 1.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Ravencrest?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
No.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
No.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
No, fails,
It's 3-2.
fails. It's an ordinance, need four.
Oh, sorry. We're going to Council Bill number 2026-12, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget. Court fund.
Yes, so in fiscal year 26, the court fund will deficit spend reducing from its fund balance approximately $39,000. This was a planned and budgeted expense due to the purchase and outfitting of the police department with new tough books. This reduction in the balance is acceptable as the court fund will still maintain an operating fund balance well within policy guidelines. Estimated ending fund balance is $27,688. So at the beginning of this fiscal year, we passed an ordinance that we would split the cost between the police department and the court fund for their brand new tough books, which came up to be about $68,000.
All right. Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-12, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget court fund?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Alderman Cord,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Bill,
Aye.
Alderman Lewis,
Aye.
Alderwoman Raincraft.
Aye.
All right, motion passed. Council Bill number 2026-13, the ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget. And this is the 2025 sewer bond fund.
Correct. So the political subdivision preparing an annual budget and closing previous fiscal years must document, report, and pass an ordinance recognizing that deficit spending from fund balance occurred during the fiscal year as proposed expenditures from the fund exceeded and estimated revenues to be received plus any unencumbered balance and less any deficit estimate for the beginning of the budget year. So this is kind of redundant because we all know that this is a bond, but because we are keeping track of the expenses for the wastewater treatment plant out of that bond, there's never any income coming in, it's always coming out. So we need to pass this ordinance as a record that we recognize that we're spending this money.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-13, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget, 2025 sewer bond fund?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. Alderman Bill,
Aye.
Alderman Covert,
Aye.
Alderman Ravencraft,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Lewis.
Aye.
Council Bill number 2026-14, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget during water.
In fiscal year 26, the water fund will deficit spend or reducing from its fund balance approximately $65,000. This was planned and budgeted due to the completion of the lead service project, which we completed this year. This reduction in fund balance is acceptable as the water fund will still maintain an operating fund balance well within policy guidelines. It is important to note that we did receive the lead service grant from the Department of Natural Resources. We did complete the lead service line inventory. We do not have any lead. Once that inventory was completed and the party that completed that program was paid, we then turned around and paid off the loan portion of the grant. So water remains debt-free and within its guidelines for fund balance.
Any questions for staff? All right, can I get a motion approving Council Bill number 2026-14, an ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds to certain accounts within the fiscal year 2026 budget with water? So moved. Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Raincraft,
Aye.
Alderman Bill,
Aye.
Alderman Covert,
Aye.
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Lewis.
Aye.
Moving on to old business, ordinance number 1542, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a development agreement for Forest Park 3 with Corey Myers Development LLC. Staff report, please.
The next two items before you are old business second reads. The one for us right now is a development agreement as it relates to Forest Park Phase 3 and the construction of a road across the adjoining property. And then the next ordinance will be for the easements and acceptance of the easements for that purpose. We are waiting on executed easements and an executed development agreement, which we now have in our possession. So both of these are back up for you guys to approve second read.
Any questions for staff? All right, well, can I get a motion to approve ordinance number 1542, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a development agreement for Forest Park 3 with Corey Myers Development LLC?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Second. Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Ravencraft?
Aye.
Alderman Covert.
Aye.
Moving on to ordinance number 1543, an ordinance accepting easements for the right of way purposes. I'll get that out. Staff report, please. No,
Again, just
Second
the
reading.
second reading and acceptance of the easements.
can I get a motion approving ordinance number 1543, an ordinance accepting the easements for the right of way purposes?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ravencraft?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Ordinance number 1548, an ordinance adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2026, and appropriating funds pursuant therefore.
So this is the second reading of passing the fiscal year 27 budget. I'd also like to just take the opportunity, the books that I gave you or yours to take home, and I would also like to point out, especially because this has been a topic of discussion, I've included the amortization schedules for the different bonds that we currently have, as well as the MTFC loan and our loan with Central Bank pooled cash reports, so you know exactly how much cash we have in the bank today, and a copy of the trial balance, which shows that we are perfectly in balance.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion approving ordinance number 1548, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2026, and appropriating funds pursuant therefore?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Ravencraft?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Moving on to new business, resolution number 2026-7, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of Ashland, Missouri, accepting the bid from Christensen Construction Company for the 2027 Mill and Overlay projects. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization is needed to award the financial year 27 mill and overlay bid to Christensen's Construction of Columbia, Missouri. The City of Ashland Public Works Department recently held competitive bid process for proposals to complete a street milling and asphalt overlay project on several streets. The streets selected for this project were as follows: Fall Court, and that would be all of Fall Court, all of Summertime Drive, Turner Avenue, Teakwood Court, Oak Street from West Broadway to Tandy Street, South Walnut from West Broadway to East Johnson Avenue, all of Bass Street, and then Mustang Drive as an alternate. The Mustang Drive alternate was not selected as Public Works staff found it a better approach to complete the much needed curb and gutter repairs on Mustang Drive this summer before having a mill and overlay for it next year. So again, help is on the way for Mustang, but we're gonna do it in order. We're gonna do the curb first this year, and then in the following year, the FY28 curb and gutter, mill and overlay project will be Mustang Drive. So these bids have been tabulated and verified for accuracy. Christensen Construction is the low bidder. They are a reputable vendor and have completed many projects for the City of Ashland in the past. They did last year's They did a great job again. The total budget for this project is $295,800. The remaining budget funds will be used on pavement preservation projects utilizing Cape Seal microservicing. So this is different. This is, again, preservation of the pavement rather than scraping it off and laying down more bituminous on top of it. That project for the pavement preservation side of it will be forthcoming by May of this year to the board. So the short-term financial impact, again, is $201,165. The long-term impact is non-applicable. And I recommend approval of awarding this bid to Christensen's Construction Company of Columbia, Missouri.
Are they the ones who did the North Main? Or Main
Sorry,
Street?
sir?
They didn't do Main Street?
Main Street is not in there this year.
Did they do Main
They
Street?
did it last
Oh,
year.
yes, Christensen's brother
They
did,
did?
all the mill and overlays,
Yeah.
Farmers Drive.
Everything out in your neighborhood.
Yeah, they did a good job. All right, can I get a motion approving, any questions for staff, please, I'm sorry. All right, can I get a motion approving resolution 2026-7, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen, Ashland, Missouri, accepting the bid for Christian Construction Company for the 2027 mill and overlay projects. Have a second?
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, resolution 2026-8, a resolution authorizing the return of contributions and termination requests for the TAP 9901 funding through the Missouri Highway Transportation Commission's Transportation Alternative Program. In other words, a TAP project.
I would like to close out the TAP grant. That would include giving back the $10,000 that Southern Boone Schools gave us as their contribution, and then the $30,000 that the YMCA gave us. The YMCA is intending to move forward with their trail. They have bids back and are working on advancing that project, so they need that funding back to complete their project. As previously reported, we've exhausted all avenues that we have with MoDOT to try and salvage this TAP grant as it exists. With the three different project components being the YMCA trail, the sidewalk on Liberty, and then the rapid flashing beacon sets at both campuses, or north and south campuses, I should say. So at this point, we would like to get approval to return those funds and close out the grant. If there's a desire to continue forward with any components of that project, we can either look to just do them in-house as standalone projects or reapply for TAP funding in the future. We can certainly entertain leaving this TAP grant open and reapply for additional funding in the future, but that would require YMCA to build that trail to the spec as it was designed, which is MoDOT spec. If they were to allow us to close out this grant, if you allow us to close out this grant, we could reapply in the future without the YMCA being included. They could also evaluate building that trail a little cheaper. So there is some benefit to allowing this TAP grant to be closed out and reapply in the future. There's no way to restrict any component from the application, so we've exhausted those options with MoDOT to try and trim down some of the scope of this project, but this is really, at the end of the day, the only option we have available to us. Close it out, reapply, or just reevaluate to do some of these components in-house, not be reliant on TAP funding and MoDOT requirements.
Is there a restriction on how many years we have to wait before we redo a TAP one, or is it, we can go?
I mean, that funding window is only open every couple of years, so we'll just have to wait.
Any other questions for staff?
Just a comment, in looking at the numbers, in order to build the sidewalk to MoDOT specifications, those numbers were ridiculous. So I'm in favor of dumping the TAP and looking to see a more reasonable route to get that sidewalk put in.
And we've, at this point, we've paid for the engineering, we have plans. If there's a desire, we can re-engage with TWM and trim out some of the MoDOT fluff and build that sidewalk undoubtedly for cheaper. The bidding requirements alone add cost, so there's opportunity for cost savings there if the board desires to complete that sidewalk at some point in the future.
questions or comments?
So I guess one thing, like, so is the cost greater than the, like, is the cost of doing this greater than? Trying to figure out how to phrase this. Are we losing money by canceling this, right? So like, is the $40,000 we have to get back?
We're actually coming out ahead because we were able to reimburse the engineering costs through the grant, so we were able to draw some of those revenues.
Mhm.
We're not being required to reimburse MoDOT for those. So I mean, we're coming out ahead or break even basically on this with the return of the contributions that were made. We spent $87,000, I think, on engineering all told. So we're able to recover most of that through reimbursement.
If we don't agree to release this grant, does that impact the YMCA and their ability to do their?
They can go build tomorrow. The issue we'll have is, again, like if we leave the grant open and we try and reapply to enhance that funding to ask for more money on the next grant cycle, we can't cut the YMCA's project out. It'll still be included. So we'll get docked if they go build it and they don't build it to MoDOT spec, and we don't have it inspected to confirm that it was built to MoDOT spec. So it'll hurt us on a future application if we leave it as is. So again, the kind of the recommendation from MoDOT is let's just close this out and we can reapply at a future date and reevaluate if we want to do the rapid flashing beacon sets in the sidewalk just as a project on their own, or if we want to do just the beacon sets or just the sidewalk, or if there's other sidewalk projects that come available. Like as it stands right now, we're not going to be able to apply for any TAP project until we close this grant out. So either build it or cancel the grant.
And the cost for the sidewalk was 10 times as much as.
All told, all three components, we were looking at, $500 some odd thousand as bid, which is substantial. I think the sidewalk on Liberty alone was pushing $300,000 just for that sidewalk. So.
Just from the entry of Liberty Landing to the school?
Yeah. Yep.
I could do it. Well, I bet you could.
Well, the problem is that the grant was only, $120,000, so there just wasn't enough money to cover all those expenses.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion approving resolution number 2026-8, a resolution authorizing the return of contributions and terminating the request for the TAP 9901 funding through Missouri Highway Transportation Commissions for the TAP grant.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Alderman Covert?
No, I think, we have heard from several community members that they want that sidewalk over there, and I'd like to see that happen.
Well, I don't think we will be able to get it done if we don't get rid of this TAP grant.
That's fine, I'm still voting.
Alderman Turner?
Right.
Alderman Ramcraft?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Can I move that we table this vote until the next meeting?
No, there's a motion on the floor.
Nay.
Passes.
And Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Passes.
All right, moving on to resolution 2026-9.
Made the motion.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of prorated replacement meters for the water department.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, the water staff is seeking authorization for the purchase of 51 prorated warranty meter replacement. That price is $8,815.29. The Neptune E900 or the 900i meters we use registers. You can call them meters, registers, either one. They have a 20-year warranty. The first 10 years is a full replacement. The second 10 years is prorated. Maybe dead battery, other things just go wrong with them. that is what we take these 51 meters, and when we do get the dead batteries, we can take these meters, replace them for the time being, and then whenever we get the full replacement of the first 10 years, then we can replace those meters again. Also, it helps us phase out some of the older meters that we have in town. So that is, that's what we're trying to do here. The short-term impact is again, $8,815.21. I recommend board approval for the purchase of the prorated warranty meters.
Any questions for staff? Can I get a motion to approve resolution number 2026-9, a resolution authorizing the purchase of prorated replacement meters for the water department?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ravenford?
Aye.
Alderman Cooley?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 2026-10, a resolution authorizing lift station replacement pumps and parts.
Thank you again, Mayor and Board. Seeking authorization for purchase of replacement pump and associated parts for East Side Lift Station and a lot of replacement wear parts for Caspian Lift Station from Hydrokinetics Corporation for a not to exceed price of $25,600. The East Side Lift Station, which serves the road-wide break time area, employs self-priming above-ground pumps. One of those pumps has failed on March 30th, and its replacement parts to repair that pump are more than 50% the cost of a new pump. So we don't, at that point, it doesn't make any sense to repair. Also quoted for the East Side Lift Station are a new air release valve, a check valve, and factory installation and training for the sewer department staff members on these particular pumps. These aren't rare pumps, but they're rare for us. They're above ground pumps. They're not submersibles, and so our staff would like to get factory training on maintaining these pumps. Caspian Lift Station, located in Caspian Circle, is in need of wear parts. A rebuild kit containing 20 parts as listed on diagram of the proposal 26E9187. These parts will be installed by the sewer staff because we're going to get the training. Together, these quotes total $24,556.75. I'm seeking a resolution for a not to exceed amount of $25,600 for freight. These again are Gorman-Rupp pumps, and their parts are distributor and territory protected, which is a good gig if you can get it, meaning if I call Dallas and ask for these pumps, they'll point me back here to Hydrokinetics. So there's only one quote. Short-term impact, again, is $25,600 and not to exceed. I recommend approval as one of these pumps is already out of service, and the second pump for which we're ordering a parts kit for is showing signs of serious wear.
All right,
Questions?
any questions, comments? All right, can I get a motion to approve a resolution number 2026-10, a resolution authorizing lift station replacement pump and parts?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Alderman Lewis?
Aye.
Alderman Ravenford?
Aye.
Alderman Cooley?
Aye.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Alderman Bill? Resolution 2026-11, a resolution to award the bid to the Republic Services for solid waste services.
As we discussed during the budget workshop, we received 2 bids. I have the summary of those bids before you in your staff report. We're looking for a resolution to award a bid. There are 4 parts to the bid. You have the base bid, you have alternate proposal 1, base bid, which includes the residential solid waste exclusive contract. Alternate proposal 1, which is commercial solid waste services. Proposal 2, which is the construction demolition roll-off services, and then option 4 was some optional services, which the only thing that was bid on by either responding company was the biweekly curbside recycling. So tonight we need to have some discussion on those bids and award accordingly. The recommendation from staff is to award to Republic across all bid components, as well as selecting the optional biweekly curbside recycling. Now, we had some follow-up questions after the last budget workshop as it relates to recycling primarily and the intention of trying to phase out the curbside. Well, I did talk to Republic, and their intention would be if we do select the curbside, they would propose getting rid of the bulk collection. We do have Republic here if there are specific questions about Republic's bid or any other clarifying questions, but staff is recommending awarding to Republic and selecting the biweekly curbside recycling. That would constitute a $5.18 per month customer increase for residential customers with the inclusion of that curbside recycling.
Does the city save any money from not having to maintain the bulk recycling facility?
So right now, we're paying for that fancy camera system down there. We've kind of just been letting that sit until we selected what we were going to do with trash and recycling services, since we knew it was coming up for bid. If the proposal of the board is to not entertain curbside and stick with the bulk collection, we're gonna have to revisit the camera and security system down at that site. The whole reason that that standalone system is down there is the building mounted cameras that are on the water shop are not sufficient for us to actually capture license plate, facial data, and whatnot to actually write tickets for littering and abuse. So yes, there are some cost savings to the city by doing away with that curbside site. We do have staff hours that go into cleaning that up on a regular basis. Well, and I can let, if you guys really want to get into the details, Jeff and the water crew is usually who babysits that for us. So he may have some thoughts on, you know, by placing that camera up there and reducing the hours, I think it's helped defray some of the abuse that's been going on down there. But if there's an intention to keep the curbside, then yes, we would propose updating the camera systems and adding some more lighting at that site so that it can be better protected.
Well, if we do curbside, how would we do it?
The proposal is another toter, so you have another toter at your house for curbside collection every other week.
Every other week? I get more Amazon boxes than that. I'd have that filled up in a day.
You related to my wife.
I'd say, oh. Yeah.
I guess my question is, I guess would be one for Republic. If we went with curbside and we're closing the other one, would that be an immediate closure or would you phase it out as, because I know you can't get all the bins delivered immediately, you know, because we're going to have, you know, you probably aren't going to go to, are you only going to deliver to the ones that request it? Or does everyone have to take one? Yeah.
Right,
Everyone has
so it would be an inclusive service for everyone in town. Similarly to other areas, if someone contacted and said, hey, Shelley, I don't need the other cart, I'm not gonna utilize the service. Now that is fine, and we're happy to remove the cart for them. However, that will not change the bill. It's an all-inclusive service, so they don't have to utilize it, but it is an all-inclusive service. And I'm sorry, what's the other?
Oh, would you be phasing out the other one?
Right, so, we will have this, should the city choose to go with this, we would have all the containers in place by the start date of a new contract. And we would be ready to go when that go live with the contract.
We'd have the bulk site until then.
You would have the bulk site until then. You know, if we needed an extra week or two, that's always an option, but it wouldn't be phased out over a period of time.
My only other concern, you know, with the curbside only being every other week, would you be willing to, you know, for instance, after Christmas and, you know, when there's a excess amount naturally of doing like an extra kind of like we do with our bulk trash
So
once or twice a week,
I'll,
or a year.
I'll speak to that. So on the Christmas bin, we have not done that the last 2 Christmases, I don't think. It went away and we've not really had a push to bring it back, and we had it pulled because of abuse of that dumpster. That dumpster was 15 feet over the top rail when they came to collect it, so.
And the majority, if I may add to that, the majority of the materials that were going in there were not recyclable materials. You know, a lot of the packaging, you know, cardboard, yes, but you get into those little plastic pieces that are left there, they're attached to the cardboard. There's the machines at the material recovery facility, they don't have the capabilities of separating those plastics. And, you know, we kind of, in the industry, we refer to it as wish cycling, right? So maybe somebody, an example of that, somebody throwing in a water hose because the hose is rubber and the end of it's metal, right? And you think those are both recyclable materials. Unfortunately, they're combined and there's not a way to separate those. We ended up with Christmas lights. I think you guys ended up with a ton of mattresses, teddy bears, old broken toys. And while the toys look plastic, that's not actually a recyclable item. You know, when we're talking about single stream recycling, we're talking about your plastic bottles, your plastic milk jugs, you know, all that, and your corrugated cardboard, paper that you can tear. And it just, you know, it kind of expands from that because people are wanting to do well. They just, that's how you end up with so much contamination. But with the Christmas dumpster, you were ending up with more furniture contamination, TVs, things like that. TVs can be recycled, but not as part of this program. So it was becoming more of a, I don't want to say burden, but more of an operational lift from your city staff than it was being productive. And, you know, with a load that contaminated, it would just end up having to go to the landfill because it's more contaminated than not.
Now you would not require bags, like plastic bottle bags and stuff like that. Everything just goes in there. And
Everything would just empty, clean, dry, you know, give it like your aluminum cans at home, give it a quick rinse, put it in you know, a lot of people have like a separate container at home, one for trash, one for recycle, give it a quick rinse, let it sit in there, it'll dry, and then you can just throw it into your dumpster.
Any other questions?
No glass, correct?
No glass.
Will that say on the little diagram?
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
So what about I know they're not in the city of Ashland, but what about Boone County, you know, like Hartsburg and places like that that brings their recycling up now? What about?
The county has not proposed returning their recycling services at this point to either Hartsburg or Ashland. So.
Right, because I know a few people that live in in different areas, not in city of Ashland, but on E Woods Road and different places.
I mean, that's part of the problem right now is that they're dumping at our site, and I think closing on the weekends has defrayed quite a bit of that, but that's also where we saw the most abuse was, you know, folks coming up and bringing not only their recycled materials, but a few bags of
I've been there
trash.
many times.
Any other questions or comments? All right, can I get a motion approving resolution number 2026-11? A resolution to award the bid to Republic Services for solid waste services.
Can I get clarity when the motion is made on what services are being awarded? You have 4 different ones on the resolution. You have the exclusive residential, the commercial solid waste, the construction and demolition roll-off, and then whether or not to accept curbside at the bi-weekly.
I don't like the idea of bi-weekly. I mean, seriously, I'll have that done in 3 days.
I'll take curbside.
I mean, I love curbside, believe me.
Don't throw it on your neighbors, just don't tell
They do that to me.
Sam has indicated that he's not gonna use
Or get a
it.
nice
Yeah.
win.
Sam has indicated that he's not gonna use it.
So you can take yours over to his house.
Well, I can, my neighbors bring it to my house.
I don't use mine a whole lot either, Brenda, so between Sam and I, we can
Yeah,
get you
but it
that.
cost me gas to go to either one of y'all's houses. That's all I
Take
know.
your gas, go up there to the bonfire.
So,
Is there a cost to the city on section 3, the construction and demolition of roll-offs?
That's just the contract to award the exclusive service to Republic as they currently have, which is the commercial service for your conventional dumpsters and trash service and then your roll-off services. So no.
So in Jeff City, you agreed to set up a liaison for those dumpsters?
That same person would be utilized up here as well. So to expand on that a little bit more, I know a few of the contractors in town, you know, I had a few issues during the last contract that the large container temporary service has not been enforced. And contractors have pushed back with the reasoning, well, I don't have a direct contact, so it's just quicker for me to call this guy and that's who I'm gonna use. So Republic Services has just hired a construction account manager. Their job is solely these large temporary containers. He did just start today, so he does need a little ramp up time. But by the start of this contract as well, he should be good to go running. He will be on the streets. He will be seeing contractors in person. He will be that direct line of contact. So when they need a service, when they need anything, he is their dedicated person, for their needs. So that piece from the contractors that they don't have a direct contact will be gone. So, and having this as part of the contract constitutes part of the scholarship that gets awarded to the schools. So awarding without large container, the scholarship is $1,000 a year. Awarding with the large container, it stays at the existing $2,000 a year. And that's, you know, part of where we make up those funds to be able to give back to the community.
One other concern that I remember did come up occasionally was availability of the large containers. Are you pretty well equipped now to handle availability quickly?
Well, I tell you what, while we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our new general manager. His name is Matt Graham. He's been with the company almost 30 years. He is actually succeeding our previous general manager who was with us for almost 50 years, Rick Graham. And I think he can speak to the operational part of our trucks and capacities and all of that, so.
Thank you, Lillian. Yes, we have more than enough containers, large containers, we call it, in our lot. That would not be a problem to get you serviced. So that's not a problem at all. We think the biggest struggle was the communication with the construction account manager we just hired. So with that person in place now, like Lillian said, started today, that will correct a lot of our issues that the city may have had.
And he'll also have that availability to lay out that expectation to the contractors. I mean, obviously, if they called me at 1 o'clock, I'm not getting it done that day. That's, you know, that's an unreasonable expectation. But they'll be able to go over and lay that out and have those times that you know exactly what you need and we can get it planned.
We very much want your construction business here, and we will make that happen, so.
Any other questions for?
So as a reminder, without the curbside collection, the bid as proposed was 5 days of service on the bulk recycle site. So if you desire to stick with that, that's what it would be.
So can I get a motion approving ordinance number 2026-11, a resolution to award the bid to Republic Services for solid waste services for which 5?
Let me just leave it to whoever makes the motion, I suppose, if they wanna.
I'll make a motion, to award the contract to Republic Services with the optional service of bi-weekly curbside recycling.
So she wants curbside. She wants everything in curbside, right?
Yes.
All 4 bid components to Republic is what I'm hearing.
Well, that's what I'm
Okay.
That's what she's.
proposing.
Section
That's what
1,
she's
2,
saying.
3, and 4.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. Alderman Lewis?
Oh, it was seconded, okay.
Oh,
Aye,
no,
yes.
He's second, I'm sorry.
Yes, aye.
Aye. Alderman Turner? Aye. Alderman Bill?
Aye.
Alderman Covert?
Aye.
Alderman Redcliffe. Moving on to reports. I have no report. Thank you very much. Well, city administrator report.
Just one item, the leader breakfast, Southern Economic Development Council coming up on April 23rd at 7 a.m. If you would like to attend, let me know. I have not purchased the tickets yet, so let me know.
And the governor's gonna be there.
The governor is going to be there.
All right, moving.
Is that here?
Yeah.
It's at the Optimist Club,
Okay.
so.
Is that your report, sir? All right, moving on to city attorney report.
Assuming tonight goes well, you put in the.
So
I don't
we
see
are
it.
continuing to research the hemp issue, which has been so prominent. But there does appear to be legislation that is now moving in the Missouri General Assembly. So we are sort of slow rolling our research so we don't run up a big bill when that may be changed. We are continuing to monitor the gray machine legislation. This is the gas station gambling machines. Gas stations kind of seem to be the theme right here. That does not seem like it's moving forward. But you've probably seen the press releases, Attorney General Hanway. Hanway, sorry. That's why I brought you. Is actually doing some prosecutions. Unfortunately, those are mostly down in the Boot Hill. Maybe that's the place to test it. So we're not seeing any prosecutions up this way.
He's from the Boot Hill.
Gambling suckers down the booty hole, boy.
Boot Heel and Springfield.
How about the kratom?
Make the Bible
Yeah,
back.
I kind of put that in the hemp, category.
Category.
We do have a kratom ordinance prepared for you guys. If we wanted to go forward with that without any kind of hemp component to it, which I can say to you guys, because you're now fully educated on the hemp issue.
I think we should rehash it. Y'all good for another 4 hours?
While we're on the issue, what's up with 708?
Same thing. I lump 708 and kratom into the same. Kratom is actually the natural version,
Yeah, that's right.
but it's very rare.
DOH is the enhanced.
It's the synthetic version. It's kind of like when synthetic marijuana was a big issue for a while. And the same thing, the synthetic version of kratom is much more dangerous than kratom itself.
Is kratom what you find in gas stations?
It is available at gas stations.
Oh,
It's not, I think, what he had in his bag, but I didn't really get to look at his bag, so.
I'm not worried about his bag. That might look terrible. That's your report, sir?
That is my report.
Thank you. Public Works Director Nelson.
Thank you, Mayor. On the streets and parks maintenance sides of things, the street department has interviewed and selected a candidate to replace a resignation that we had last month. Okay, that'll get us back to full staff. The candidate's in the pipeline going through background checks and whatnot. A sidewalk section was replaced on Broadway last week. A newly created part-time text position was offered to a candidate and he was accepted. His first day was actually today, which is good timing because our first big mow of the park was today. Park's bathrooms are also open for the season. 32 trees are scheduled to be planted at various green spaces around town with a couple of volunteer groups from the ABC and the FFA in April or May. Had no report for stormwater, but since I wrote this, we found a storm structure on Misty Lane in a backyard that was identified that will require repairs from outside contractors. I'm gonna put together numbers for that. On sanitary sewer wastewater treatment plant, a sewer department 1 position was filled and employee started yesterday. The new sewer 2 position is still open at this time. Down at the plant, we have found a ductile iron pipe that carries air from the blowers to the oxidation basins. Was discovered to have a leak. We're going to be working on that and mitigating that. And tomorrow begins the replacement of 3 lift station repair panels that the board has authorized last year. Those are going to be installed starting tomorrow at Celinda Park Lift Station and Justin Lift Station. Any questions?
Oh, have they closed out the MoDOT thing on the sidewalks on the north side?
I believe there's still some outstanding punch list items on there.
Kevin,
Your issue down at the post office is not part of
where's
the punch
Misty?
list, though. That's on Kevin's list.
Pardon?
Where's Misty Lane?
Misty Lane, it's near summer, it's summertime sunshine
Okay.
in there.
What would it have been Casey, what's her last name, starts with an O, or Stacy Brock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That's,
yeah, they
that's him.
contacted me, and I.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I gave them your name.
Okay, well, thank you for that, yeah, little sinkhole in the backyard.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah, oh, we're on it.
Okay.
All right, water supervisor report.
Thank you, Mayor. My report's in your packet, just a few quick things here. To further our outreach, started yesterday, we are flushing the system, hydrant flushes. That definitely helps with the water quality, improves pressure and ensures hydrants work properly. Like I said, I just really wanted to further that outreach and let everyone know that we will be doing that for this week and the next week through the 17th. We're hoping to get everything finished up and make sure everything is operational.
Any questions? Thank you, thanks, sir. Moving on to the Board of Aldermen reports, Alderman Ramcraft.
Okay, I've had, I guess because everyone's seen my name in the paper, they've been calling me. Trailers, is there an ordinance, trailers being on the streets,
Yes.
not attached to vehicles?
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be a problem on Justin, there's a camper, like on the corner of Justin and Pacer. You go down Justin, there's at least 2 trailers down on Justin, one on, I don't know, northeast, south, and west, one on the right side, one on the left side. Periodically, at least twice a week. Someone has reached out on that. Water retaining on the streets at the end of Pacer where they still haven't got it repaired.
Let's take a look.
Pacer and Justin.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, and then when you go off of Martha Crump, when you turn onto Pacer, there's big potholes. They said, some guys said they thought they broke their axle there.
You hear that one, Kevin? Pothole at,
Martha Crump.
Martha Crump and
Martha
Justin.
Crump and Pacer.
Pacer, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then Casey's backyard, he just said about that. And then there's another, hang on, I'll tell you another, someone just sent me a text earlier. I love it. End of Sunshine Drive, northwest corner. I guess his yard's flooded.
Yeah, that's the one that's
Ask the
in
city,
here.
it's constant flooding in that area. What are they doing to alleviate and control the situation?
Well, that, if I may, we've talked about that at length before, the end of Sunshine Drive. That, we have cleaned out that area as much as we
Oh,
possibly
that's the
can.
one that the trash is.
Yes, yep.
The-
So, specifically to the backyard, There is some debris that can be cleaned from the fence line that will help flow through there. But short of a major project, and again, if we can revisit that, we have no easement there, we have no infrastructure back there. And it has been going on for decades, honestly, but back to the end of Sunshine, that has all been cleared out. And we have no purview, we have no rights to mess with any of the rest of that stream. That would have to be, again, in concert with the Corps of Engineers and especially the school. But as far as what the streets department or the city can do for that is we've done everything we can.
I'm just relaying, I'm just the messenger, and
Yeah,
I
I
can
understand.
message right back.
Yep. I understand.
I guarantee you.
On the trailers, encourage them when you respond to them to make sure they're calling 311 to report some of those things. That's gonna be the fastest way. Otherwise, we're waiting until our twice a month meeting to.
Oh, yeah,
write it up to-
yeah, I agree 100%, and I usually will say that on something like that. I try to explain that to them. And that's all my report.
Thank you, not a problem. Alderman Court,
No report.
Alderman Turner,
No report.
Alderman Bill.
It is the greatest week of golf of the year, so I encourage everyone to watch the
It's the
Masters.
Masters, that's right. Alderman Lewis.
No report.
All right. All right, any comments from the general public? All right, can I get a motion to vote to go into closed session to discuss chapters 610-021 legal actions, causing actions of litigation involving real body.
So we, and 3.
And, I'm sorry, I didn't see three, right, and 610-213, hiring or firing discipline. Can I get a motion?
So
So moved.
All right, Alderman Ravenscraft,
Aye.
Alderman Court,
Aye.
Alderman Turner, Alderman Bill, Alderman Lewis.
All right.
This time we will go to closed session. Okay, at this time, we are back in the open session. We have nothing to report. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Go home.
Oh, 3:44, I did get your email,
I put Kristen
but I
down
didn't see it.
for her version.
I did get the email.